hambanae. Good. Are we all feeling nice and familiar with this one now? Good. Now we've got to put on our jolly, happy faces. And we've also got to forget about our neighbours or our spouses who might be in the building. And we've just got to start really singing this one. So, this time round, I want us to put on our loud voices and really start just enjoying singing this tune. Again, don't worry about the words. If you forget the words, forget the words. Just sing some blooming vowels, it's fine. But just keep it nice and simple. Keep it simple. Here we go. Caesar, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Caesar hambanae, Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, gnomla, gnomla wenya buna, Caesar hambanae, gnomla wenya buna, Caesar hambanae, round again, Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, Caesar hambanae, whoa, Caesar hambanae, nomna wenya bula, Caesar hambanae, nomna wenya bula, Caesar hambanae. Good. Are we feeling nice and confident? We're going to stand and do it now. So let's all stand up, find our positions. Excellent, and by a bit of magic of technology, we'll see what happens with my piano, see if it plays what we need it to. Here we go. 1 and go. Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, Ganga wenya pula, Caesar hambanae, Ganga wenya bula, Caesar hambanae. One more time, add some action. Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae. We like the side to side. Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae. Ganga wenya bula, Caesar hambanae. Brilliant, good, well done. Give yourselves a Zoom round of applause before you sit down. And stay standing for 1 second. We're just going to do one more verse of that. And this time, I loved those who joined in with the clapping. I loved the involvement. This time, I really want the side-to-side movement. It's going to be very relevant for us in the coming up. So lots of side-to-side. Just feel that movement. It's got just to it goes with the knees as well, but we really want to rotate this part of the body, and it will all become very clear in a sec. So here we go for the very last time. And Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, Caesar hambanae, oh, Caesar hambanae, Ganga wenya bula, Caesar hambanae, Ganga wenya bula, Caesar hambanae. Good, well done everyone. Lovely. Have a seat, please. Thank you. Good. Now, let's find where we are with all of this. Today, we've got warmed up now, which is fantastic. We're all looking a lot more revived after lunch for that. Well done, if a bit sweaty. So, come on. Good, lovely. And the really important thing about that, why was I trying to get you to move side to side? Why was I doing all these things? We'll find out in a minute. But one of the reasons was because we weren't doing any thinking at that moment. And one of my big issues with vocal health, and that's not with the title of this thing, that's not my issue. My issue with discussing these things is that it can become very academicised very quickly. And actually, all we're trying to do often when we turn up on a Wednesday is turn up, have a really good sing, have a nice time, and go home happier. And you know, that is, and that applies to me and Michael as well. We always try and go home happier after Wednesday, and generally we do. You know, I'm very aware of that fact. And I wanted to really hammer that home before I start looking at things in any detail today, that the core enjoyment of singing is in just learning something and singing it out. and we're not thinking about anatomy, we're not thinking about any of these things, we're just enjoying singing a tune. The moment we start heading towards things like the Messiah, of course, we are starting to deal with years of academic thought that has led us to these incredible pieces. And so of course, suddenly we're at a place of huge amount of learning needed in order to sing these pieces. And all of you on the screen have done years of choir and years of singing that will put you in good stead for it. So all I'm going to add today is I want to really, really bring awareness to the body, to things you may not have, diagrams you may not have seen of the body, of the functions and the things that work in the body to make us sing better. Because that's really the best thing I can offer you. I can stand here and say, oh yes, do that again. If you just take a slightly better breath at the start, that would be good. But I don't think that's necessarily serving you the best way. So let's kick off with, what do I need to give you? I want to present. I press present. Oh no, I don't press present for until I've shared the screen. That's right, let's share the screen first. Here we are, sharing that screen. That's it, and then I press share, and we are there. Oh, no, there we are. Great, so, no, that's not that kind of share, is it? Present, that's what I want. Good, and I think everyone can see that right now. So, vocal health and Handel's Messiah, or how much muscular bodily effort it really takes, which is a bit of a sort of, I guess, a northern take on how much bloody effort it's going to take, is a better way perhaps of expressing what I'm trying to say there. Good. Here we go. Well, one of the really interesting things for me and vocal health, let's say, is some of the questions I get asked. And I thought it might be high time that I gave you some honest answers. Because so often when someone says, oh, you must be trying to protect your voice, or they've actually just been very, very nice to me and others as a singer and very considerate and concerned. But here's perhaps what we actually wish we could say. Here's a common one. You must have to rest your voice lots so you don't strain it. And that's a really interesting one, I find. And the truth is, no, not really. I need to exercise, particularly the core area here, and ensure I get lots of proper sleep. Well, why? We'll find this out in a sec, but singing doesn't happen in the larynx, in the voice box. Singing happens like you were just doing it just now, with the side to side, with the muscles moving, with something very, very natural. It doesn't happen in this very, very focused area. Sure, the sound is produced there, but actually to produce that really, really good sound, I have to exercise my core area, and I have to get good sleep so the muscles are just ready the next day to really take that strain. So there's a first one. I'm sure during lockdown we're all getting plenty of proper sleep, so that's good. This is good. Oh, presumably you don't drink coffee because of protecting your voice. You notice I've also put protecting your voice, which is an interesting one in itself. So yes, the honest answer goes something like this. I suppose the muscles in the vocal cords might end up in a heightened state from the higher blood pressure, but the voice still works. And actually, like anyone, drinking water is the best thing you can do. In fact, drinking coffee, we all drink coffee, we all drink our tea, and that's absolutely fine. But the effect on the voice is far less problematic than the effect on our digestive system or on our brains. So yeah, let's just debunk that myth for a moment. Normally, by the way, if anyone's very kind and asks would I like a tea or coffee at 8:30 on a Wednesday with Epworth, the reason I always say no is because I just won't sleep otherwise. And I know some people can have caffeine before sleep, and I take my hat off to them. This is a good one. It must be really hard being a singer, having to look after your voice, which is a question I've never quite understood what that means. Because my voice is... If this is my dog, yes, I have to look after my dog, and that's actually really easy to do. But with my voice, it's attached to my body, and I should perhaps look after that. And I have written, but how at the end, and we will find out soon. And then the strangest question I've had yet is, does helping a bath make you sing better? Quite an easy one on that front. Anything that helps release the abdominal, diaphragmatic, and core muscles will help with vocal production, or at least a better way of putting it is ease the muscular movement that generates a controlled airflow. So there you go. If any of you ask me very polite questions, I will never ever put you down or say how dare you ask that or how ignorant. I know people ask out the kindness of their heart, but those are the real answers that we wish we could give, but no, we would bore everyone with normally, and it would be quite rude. So where does this get us? Well, I thought we'd just put a couple of boxes around things: vocal health and healthy vocal production, because I think these two things are very, very, very different. And often when I do concerts, afterwards I hear people often say, but particularly in non-professional choirs, I hear, oh gosh, my voice after that really feels very, very strained. And you know what? When you've done a first half of some sort of Elgar thing followed by a large Requiem Drufle in the second half, yeah, I'm not surprised. It's a heck of a sing. And given all of us turn up and sing once a week and do that for fun, that is a huge sing on your body. So you have to be very kind to yourself if your voice is feeling strained. But let's just get these two things in separate boxes. Vocal health, I think, is the healthy state of a specific and very complex bodily organ, i.e. the larynx and everything around here, the good health of which is dependent on the correct functioning of a larger system, in which the larynx and the vocal box is just one part of it. And I know that sounds really, really obvious, but so often when people talk about their voice, they put their hands here, and it's all just, my voice happens here and so on, and we forget how the rest of the body is involved, which for me is what healthy vocal production is. So you see that the awareness that the production of sound is dependent, so there's a relationship there, on the optimum functioning of the diaphragmatic, abdominal and intercostal muscles, providing a suitable air pressure to keep the vocal cords in tension. These are definitions I wrote out based on my understanding of it, and not things I've nicked. And I hope they're quite clear. So it's awareness that it's about the suitable air pressure, because if your air pressure, and we'll discuss this soon, if your air pressure is the right pressure, then your voice will automatically operate without doing any damage. But so often the air pressure is below where it needs to be, or our effort that we put in is below where it needs to be. So thereby not overreaching the smaller muscles in the vocal box. I mean, simply by saying the words diaphragmatic, abdominal, intercostal, all of you will be thinking big, big muscle groups, and you're right to. If you're thinking voice box, smaller ones, you might be thinking the neck. They're not really involved. The neck muscles are involved a little bit in the breathing, and a tiny bit in the movement of the larynx, but most of it's actually dependent on the muscles that are attached to the cartilage and the voice itself. And we'll have a look at those. So, and yes, the strain in the voice originates from laziness elsewhere in the body, is my Yorkshire way of putting it. It's the impolite way, but that is the truth of it. Good, we are getting ever closer, but let's just put these in different categories. So protecting my vocal cords, so just to round that off, that looks like, yes, maybe I should avoid coffee in case it damages my vocal cords, and worries like that. Maybe I need to have a sip of water before I do. Drink water all day long, never more than 1 litre per hour, because your liver can't process it otherwise. But just get drinking water. Don't worry about a coffee. It won't damage your vocal cords. You'll be fine. If the best thing you can do for your voice, if you are finding that you're not able to connect those muscles, you're not able to connect the sound and get the breath going the way you want, go see an osteopath, go see a chiropractor, go see an Alexander teacher. One of those three. I urge you, it is better than turning up to a choir practice. Just on one, if you couldn't find an appointment any other time. Not only will you really, really get things aligned and get that natural system of breathing working, but you will also do brilliant, brilliant things for the rest of your body. So that's my absolute tip of the day. Tip number one: go, see an osteopath or a chiropractor if you are finding any difficulty in singing. They will be able to help you a long time before a singing teacher can. The analogy I always use is, imagine you've got a slightly broken saxophone a couple of the keys don't work, it's slightly too bent at one end and it's a bit dented at the other, and a bit of the reed has snapped off. You wouldn't then take that to a saxophone teacher and start learning grade 8 saxophone. The first thing you would do is your saxophone teacher would send you to a factory to either buy a new one, we can't do that with the body, or go get it fixed, and that would be my absolute tip with that. I can't really stress that far enough, because there's only so much we can do as vocal teachers, much as some of my colleagues would carry on teaching anyway. Good, we are going to have a quick look through the diaphragm and then we will do some singing. So, ribcage and spine. I'm sure all of us have seen something quite simple like this before. Oh, whoops, too far. Before. But it's always worth reminding ourselves some simple things. Can we all find the upper rib? So there's the collarbone heading off, and then the first rib down, and you'll feel that one's quite soft, and that rib barely moves when we breathe. So if you breathe in now, you might feel a little bit of expansion outwards, but you won't find much expansion otherwise. Good. Just work your way down your sternum, so down that cartilage. Remembering that that is cartilage from the sternum to the ribs, so that the ribs can move. And find the bottom, and then work your way outwards. One of the things that amazes me as I work my way down the ribs is quite how wide my ribs are by the time I get to the bottom. And just breathe into there. Lovely. And you can really feel that movement outwards now, a real directional movement outwards. Good. And then just place your hands onto the sides, roughly around where, in the thoracic area, perhaps around where it says false ribs. So just where the costal arch begins, and just breathe into there. And let go. Good, lovely. You can really feel there's a lot of movement in those ribs. And I think one of the amazing things about the ribs, we look at it and we think, it's a cage, it's a prison. And it kind of throws up these analogies for us of something that's solid and sticky. No, not at all. The rib really moves. Now, this is really important because when we are singing and sitting, particularly when we're sitting, we start forgetting this very quickly. We start forgetting that the ribs are an active part of movement, particularly when we are singing. And why is this? Look, let's have a look at some of those muscles going around. So when we start laying the first set of muscles, the external intercostal, the internal intercostal, all those muscles are basically involved when you want to force air out a bit longer. So what I want you to do for me is breathe in and then let the first part of the breath just go. And then when you're getting towards the end of the breath, really push through your air into a straw for a sharp 3 seconds, okay? And keep your hands, you might just want to give yourself a hug and put your hands onto the ribs. So you're really feeling when those muscles engage. So breathing in, gently letting it out, and then blowing hard for 3 seconds. Let go. Good. Do we all feel that engagement somewhere around the rib area? Really feel that engagement. Let's do that one more time. I find this one easy. I'll just stop the share for 1 second. I find this easiest if you just give yourself a hug like that. So you're just getting into that part of the ribs. Okay, let's breathe again. And out. And now blow. Good. You should really feel that engagement of something going on here. And of course it is those huge muscles that are engaging at that moment with us. And fantastic that they are. Good. So let me just get that back up. We are near some singing time. There we are. Good. Also, here's another big misunderstanding, the diaphragm. Look how big that muscle is. That is a huge muscle. And that's coming up from the base of the spine, where it says crura. That is a massive muscle. And often, I think what we think as singers particularly, is that when we're breathing out, and when we're singing out, that's when the muscular effort comes in. But actually, it's not quite true. If you put your hands at the base of your spine, and so you look a little like you've got back pain and you're doing the sort of actor, thing, my back. And just breathe in quite sharply. you should feel that actually around there, you might want to have a poke, but you'll feel that what the muscle's actually doing is contracting towards the base of the spine. And that's what happened. That balloon of the diaphragm is being pulled downwards to allow the air in. And so actually when we breathe in, we're not just breathing in and there's no muscular contraction. The diaphragm is contracting downwards for us. And then when we breathe out, the diaphragm doesn't do anything. The muscles around the aorta are just letting go. It's actually at that point the muscles I got you to do before, the intercostals that kick in, and those are the ones that take over to give us a really, really long breath through that. And then very lastly, just to show you these external oblique muscles, look at how many muscles are involved. And this is just the breathing system. This is all breathing stuff. Really, really important stuff to have a think about as we go on. There's the back muscles, by the way, just so we're thinking when we're sitting that we're never slouching over in choir or forgetting that these muscles, all of those, are helping move the ribs. You can see, particularly in the diagram on the right, how those lower muscles, serratus muscles, are connected into the diaphragm, into the ribs, sorry, and are very, very actively working to make that happen. Good. Well, let's head towards a bit of Messiah for a moment. So, grab your copies, and Since Blind Man Came Deaf. If you don't have your copy with you, don't worry. If you know a bit of Messiah, you'll find we're not doing a huge amount today of it. But Since Blind Man Came Deaf is page 186. So, one of the things I really want us to do here, the first thing we're going to do, just make sure we're sitting nicely on our sit bones. I have this ball, by the way, now, which I'm using to, keeps my stability up, keeps me sitting well. So if you're concerned about your sitting and you fancy substituting your chair for something equally comfy but far better for your posture, I suggest a Swiss exercise ball. £16 on Amazon, nice and easy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play this one at speed, but what I want you to do is just hiss. So this. You get the idea. Okay, here we go. Keep that hissing at a constant pressure and think about all those muscles. So when we're breathing in now, the diaphragm just behind the spine is contracting to breathe in. And then when we're starting to run out of air, all these muscles, the intercostal and the abdominal, are working to really squeeze that air at the same pressure. Here we go. Ready? Breathe. Squeezing, squeezing, squeezing. Good, well done everyone. Good, now, did we all find when we got to the end of the phrase, we had to naturally breathe in? There was this, gasp of air going on. Hands up those who found the coming up from diving moment. Okay, not bad, not bad. That gives us about 60% of the room. Let's do that exercise one more time. And what I want you to do, if you were one of the 40% who didn't feel the need to have a diver's moment out of the water, push your hiss a little harder for me. Here we go. And... keep that pressure going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Find the extra muscles. Oh, good, lovely. Thank goodness for that. Right, that should have felt like some of the largest effort you've put in for the whole of lockdown. Okay, good. Now what we're going to do, we're going to hum that. Now you're welcome to either hum the soprano part or you're welcome to hum your own part at that moment. I'm going to do it to an NG. So the important thing about NG is the tongue is sitting just there on the teeth. Hi there. It's very relaxed. I can't really do much with it when it's sitting there because I can't phonate anything. Okay, so that's where you want our tongue to be. But have a go. And keep that air pressure the same. Use those muscles, contract, 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 keep the air flowing, keep the air flowing, keep the air flowing. Oh, thank goodness for that. Excellent. I saw some good things going on the screen. I saw particularly just a couple of people there at the end, very relieved to have reached the end. Good. If you were one of those people who was relieved and had this amazing breath as if you come up for air, you are breathing correctly, you are singing correctly, you are using the muscles correctly. If you're one of those people who thought, no, I just kind of sang it and I got to the end, either you have astonishing lung capacity, in which case I salute you, or you just need to keep get those muscles working a bit harder as we go. Good, I'm going to make it even harder now, and then we will just put some words to it. So, this time we're going to do it to a brrr. And I'll let you off the hook. I'm going to go a bit faster with this one because you will find this one very, very difficult to do. Really think about what we were saying about the diaphragm. The diaphragm at the base, those muscles are contracting to breathe in. So think about that with the in-breath. It's like picking up a heavy weight. This isn't heavy weight, this Vaseline, but let's go with it. It's like picking up a heavy weight like that. Oh, it's wonderful. And it's really contracting. It gives us the power. Okay, here we go. So it's brrr and contract. Breath. Good, well done. Everyone heard how mine at the end cut out. And why did that cut out? Because my muscles just went, oh, really, that's far too much effort. Now, we're going to put some words in now. I want you to combine all these things together. What's really important as we put the words in is we're keeping the vowels very open. Since by man came a death. So I'm not spending any time going came or anything. Came a death. Came a death. Yeah? And we really keep that pressure. Think of all the exercises you've just done, the hissing and so forth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep using the muscles, muscles, muscles. Use the muscles, really squeezing, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Lovely, good, well. Oh, thank goodness for that. Excellent stuff. Well done, everyone. Turn to the Amen chorus. You don't need to, actually, and if you know the Amen particularly well. All we're going to do is sing that opening fugue line. And we're going to do it to this. So it's sort of like a really rubbish Hoover. So does that sound? So my lips are completely loose. It's not the easy way of describing this sound. Here we go. We're only doing that fugue theme. You don't need really anything else, just the music if you want, first time round. 1, 2, and 4. Good. Now what you should find about this is the lips are just being pushed forwards and the tongue is completely out of the way of everything. Give that one more go. See if you just... It is the most relaxed stuff going on in the throat. 1, 2, 3, go. Good. Who was noticing muscular operations happening here? Who was feeling a pull in this area? Little bit. Let's just do it one more time. Yeah, great, good. Some thumbs up going up there. Let's just do that one more time. If you weren't one of those people, can I suggest you just really let this air flow more? So there might be a bit of an element of you're kind of putting it on the voice. You can hear it's not what we're trying to do. It's far more airy than that, okay? One more time with that air. Oh, I've had enough. It's that feeling. 1, 2, 3. Good, well done. It should really start to ache the muscles down here. And the reason I'm doing this for you is to really get you to start feeling these are the feelings we should have when we're singing full stop. not just when we're doing a little bit of an exercise. So let's put our R onto that. Amen. Ah. And I want that same feeling that the air is what's flowing. And if it helps you, just let your hands go with it. Amen. If it helps you, it might be too distracting and it might stop your breath as well. So only if it's allowing that air to really flow out. Here we go. Think of those muscles. They're contracting to really help you. The whole body's involved. You've seen them now. The whole body's involved. Good. Sorry, I should have stopped the share a while ago. Here we are. 2, 3, and. Amen. 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 Good, lovely, lovely stuff. Is everyone feeling quite zen at the moment? I hope there's a feeling of zen going on. I'm feeling very, very relaxed in the mouth. Let's give that one more go. I want everything just to be so loose for you in the neck. Just try that back to back. Try your and then sing ah. Go. Ah. Amen. 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 Good, lovely, lovely stuff. I'm seeing really good mouth shapes going on as well. Really, really fantastic. Great, well done everyone. So, look, those two things are particularly about airflow and using the muscles. But as we just have a look onwards, because this is vocal health, we would like to know kind of what's going on with the vocal cords. I would be folly to not talk about vocal cords. But, however, don't get too carried away with things here. The diagram you can see, I think, is a really, really fantastic diagram for showing you kind of the very basic of what's going on. That's your trachea coming up, and that's the vocal folds at different stages. And you can see when they're being brought together, they're vibrating very fast. That's the that's the real basics of how the vocal cords work. They're just two muscular tissues that come together and work. I'm just going to show you this video very, very quickly that I think really just illustrates it. And some of us may have seen this sort of thing before, others may not have. So here we go. Let's have a look at this. Oh, that's not what we want, is it? Here we are. Sorry, let me share the correct thing. Share the screen. There we are. Good. Let's just have a listen.
As the breath stream passes through the larynx, it flows between two muscular bodies known as vocal folds. Historically referred to as vocal cords, the structures of each fold has 5 layers. Number 1, the outer layer, known as the epithelium. The superficial layer of the lamina propria or Reinke's space is number 2. Number 3, the intermediate layer of the lamina propria, which is made up of elastic fibers. Number 4, the deep layer of the lamina propria, which contains collagenous fibers. And finally, the main body of the vocal fold, the vocalis muscle, the middle of the thyroarytenoid muscle. When you were born, your vocal folds were approximately 3 millimeters in length. And as we age into adulthood, they grow to between 9 to 13 millimeters for women and 15 to 20 millimeters for men. To create sound, the vocal folds are drawn together momentarily, closing the glottis. Glottis is the term given to the space directly between the vocal folds. The air pressure builds beneath the closed vocal folds, and the glottis starts to open from the underside through to the top side, allowing air to escape between the leading edges of the vocal folds. When singing an A4, the same tuning pitch as an orchestra, this single close, open, close motion of the glottis is repeated 440 times per second.
Great. Well, I hope there's some interesting facts that we all gleaned from that short clip in the video. Not least that I can't believe that when we're singing this note, or actually if you're a soprano, up there, that's 440 times a second those muscles are moving back and forth. I don't think there's many muscles in the body that move that quickly. And as you saw from the way that the voice is made, it's not made of muscle, it's made of these layers and layers and layers. And that's what allows that flexibility and things to happen as quickly as it does. Good. Let's just finish off on that, and then we'll do a little more singing, because I'm sure there'll be a couple of questions about that all. Here we go. Lovely. So this is the larynx. Now, larynx you can find on gentlemen, you can find it very easily. It's our Adam's apple. On females, it's harder to find because you have smaller voices. So it's not as protruding as the male voice. And when you sing lower as a man, my larynx will dip. Oh, you can see it was moving downwards there. Not a great position to show you in, but there we go. And the same will happen with the female voice. If you just hum down, you should feel the larynx tipping. Of course, what it's trying to do is make the vocal cords longer. You can see the vocal cords in all those figures inside the thyroid cartilage. And they essentially become longer when we tip that forwards. The important thing to say here, just have a look at those small muscles. You remember I was saying earlier about this big muscles group in the breathing and small muscle group in the voice. Those muscles there, the ones working the arytenoid cartilages, they're the finite muscle movement that controls the pitch and controls getting the vocal cords together. There are more muscles than that, but these are some of the real fine ones that have different actions. And I haven't shown them today what they are. But why is this important? Because these poor little muscles, if you spend your time going, those poor little muscles are having to work so damn hard to make up for the fact that the big muscles below are not doing the work. And what happens over time is those muscles just go, oh, I'm too small and I wasn't designed for this stuff. I'm giving up. And that's when the voice we start to get into problems with being unable to phonate and so on. It takes quite a lot of doing to do that. But the best way these muscles operate best when the air pressure from below is working so well that the muscles can just operate as if they're suspended in midair. All those, the blue bits you can see in those drawings, the arytenoid cartilage, are very flexible. Imagine they're like the gear stick in your car, but a very smooth one on manual. And you can just move that wherever you want. And essentially that's what those muscles do, to allow the voice to get to the different places it does. If we are having to use those muscles just to get the two vocal cords to meet, because we're not bringing enough air pressure to them, then we're really restricting what we can do with the voice. here's another one just relevant for today. Positioning of the head. The hyoid bone. If you all just place your hands just near where the neck meets, or the jawline meets the neck, and just swallow for me, you should be able to feel the hyoid bone move up and down. It's a horseshoe-shaped bone, and it's the bone on which the larynx is suspended. Now, of course, why have I shown you all this? Well, quite amusing diagram they've got there of the skull leaning backwards. What a terrible position that is for singing. Why? Because as we can see in the second diagram, if you think about it, if that hyoid bone is being pulled upwards because we're straining our neck up, or we are pulling our tongue, and therefore the genohyoid muscle, which you can see just below the teeth, is also being strained and pulled forwards, then our larynx is being pulled up because our larynx is directly related to that hyoid bone. So I really encourage, and we can see that in the second diagram here, you can see that there's the larynx in blue and the trachea, and it's related, it's attached to the bone. So if the bone is being pulled upwards and away because we are pulling our neck backwards and straining upwards, the larynx is being pulled upwards. And I have to say, the number of times I see that happen in choirs is worrying. Guildford seem to have it sorted because they're all sitting in tiering. That means they're looking down towards the conductor. At Epworth, it's slightly harder for us because we're actually looking slightly upwards towards the conductor, which is a less ideal situation to be singing in. Not that we can do a huge amount about that, but we can be very conscious. The worst for this is Zoom. Zoom is the worst for us pushing our head towards the camera. So to finish, let's go to All We Like Sheep, because this is just relevant. It's the last thing we're going to do. And we're just going to use the sopranos We Have Turned on page 106. Okay, let's just do it to bar to start with. So ba 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 ba, and go. Good, one more time for familiarity, go. So I'm sorry. I need the familiarity, and again, go. Good. Now just sing that to R for me. R, go. Good. Turns out I can't do two things at once. Play and look at the screen. Let's give that one more shot as well. Just a simple R and go. Good, fantastic. I saw some good mouth shapes going on. I saw some quite closed mouth shapes, and I saw some mouths not open at all. So who knows what's going on there. But let's have a look now. The best thing about Zoom is we can use our camera. So if you just get yourself to a gallery view, I'm not sure if you're able to pin yourself, but you might be able to pin yourself. At least on a gallery view, you might be able to see yourself. And just for me, use that real opening of the mouth on the R. The other thing I want you to judge as well is, are you in that position, or are you actually just allowing the neck to be long and everything to hold? Because if you just, before we sing this, just do a little experiment. If you just grab the neck, place your hand on your neck, and just move up and back, and just notice what's happening to the muscles, particularly the ones just around here, this area, and up and down. You can really feel them being really taut when you're in that upper position. The other thing is if our head is moved forwards, so if we're there rather than there, you can hear what happens to the voice. It actually gets quite hard to speak, as opposed to if I'm here, I get far more depth in my voice as well. So just think about those directions for me. Here we go. Go. Good, fantastic. Let's do that upper tone as well. Go. Good. Now, I'm seeing mostly really, really good stuff across the board, but one thing I am also seeing with some people is the mouth moving with each note. So what I want you to do this time, and those people, by the way, and none of this is criticism, because we're all learning, we're all pupils in this. So some of that slightly caused at the moment by pushing the head forward. So just take a moment to realign the head on top of the spine for me. It might be how you're sitting, but just realign the head on top of the spine. We've looked at all those diagrams now, and we know how deadly it is to be in the wrong place. So here we go. We're doing this one, won't we? And. That's got it. Good. Lovely, lovely stuff. So what I always talk about is we're letting the sound work around the physicality rather than making the physicality go to the sound. And that's most proved in our last example today, which is For Unto Us a Child is Born. And we're going to use let's use the alto run. And the alto run is on page 60. Okay, let's just do it to bar first. And. Oh, it changes, doesn't it, at the end? My fault, altos. Good, well done everyone. So, two things about this. We're now combining the first thing we did, which was about air pressure, and keeping that air going all the way. We're combining that with keeping the mouth really, really loose throughout the whole of this, not going to the sound, and trying to find it, but just allowing that sound to operate round. Because those little muscles in the vocal cord, you think about this now, our vocal cords are flapping away at somewhere between 300 and 400 beats per second, and all those little muscles behind are doing all that work as well to get us from one note to the next. If we start interfering with that work by like that, we're making life very hard for those poor little muscles. Here we go. Born and yeah, don't worry what you sang at the end, I'm sure it was good. Different because of the alto part there. Good. This time I want you to do it to R, use your camera. It's the last thing we're going to do. R, 1 and 2. That's got it. Good. So actually everything is very, very, very loose. And allows the voice to move around the sound. And good, well done. The last thing, very, very last thing, he says, is this time I want you to see if you can push that breath a bit longer. So everyone's taking their breaths as we go. We're going to just reintegrate that. So there's 2 points to take away from today. And the first one is that when we breathe in, the diaphragmatic muscle back there is contracting to pull the diaphragm down and to allow that air to come in. So we're gaining strength from the start. And then as we get towards the end of a phrase, we're suddenly importing the abdominal and the intercostal muscles to give us that extra. The diaphragm muscle has just gone loose. That's saying, yeah, my job's done, I'm releasing now. But these muscles then really start to come into play to help us. Let's think about that. We do Born for the last time, and see if you get that breath to go longer by getting those muscles involved. Ready, go. Good stuff. Well done, everyone. Who felt that they went further for using a bit of muscle in that one, for a bit of muscle awareness? Good, excellent, well done. Do you know what? That's exactly the place to stop. And we have to stop anyway. But that's the place to stop. What I really, really hope, everyone, is that today I've brought to you a real sense that whatever you do in this piece, bring it back to those fundamentals. And that is that the muscles downstairs are far, far bigger than the poor little muscles upstairs. And if you get those muscles downstairs working, then the upstairs will take care of itself, because those little muscles upstairs love it when your air's flowing through and they can just move and do as many notes as you want without you thinking about it. We can engage these muscles. We can consciously make these muscles work. We can't really consciously move a tiny muscle up there. So with that, I leave you with honest answers, muscle thoughts, a few thoughts about Messiah, and goodwill and better weather. Thank you all very much.
Great. Thanks so much, Lawrence. That was really, really enlightening. And the thing, just for me to add my 2 penneth at the end, the thing that always strikes me is when you hear and learn from somebody who knows about singing is just how physical and how tiring it is. And doing some of those exercises, and I think I've just used muscles I haven't used since March last year. It's amazing what a physical activity it is to do it well and do it healthily. So, and thank you for making it all relevant to our work on Messiah as well. It's been really, really fantastic and great to see lots of you. And I hope that you've got lots that you can arm yourself with now for our Wednesday evening rehearsals. Did anybody want to ask any questions or anything? Is there something that Lawrence could help with? Go on, Anne, you're first up.
I've definitely found, since not singing very much, that when I'm now very croaky, and my voice is cracking as I'm singing along, and I just wonder what I can employ to make that better.
It's a really, really good question, Anne. Take lots of the things we did today, so the silly noises we were doing. So, for example, we'll come up with a name for our moaning Hoover or whatever it is. That's a really good one to do. And the brrr as well, because these are all things. What that's doing is getting away from the thought that we need to be thinking about this part. We're just thinking about some silly sound and feeling the effect here. My thought, Anne, is probably it's a little bit because of lockdown and that it might just watch out if you're pushing your head forwards or anything like that. And that's when I just go back to that first point to say, it might well be worth, if you're finding croakiness in the voice, not employing a singing teacher, going and seeing even an Alexander chiropractor or an osteopath. They'll be able to really advise you on those things within 2 sessions, and it is always money well spent because it spills over in so many other things. So I would say that, and then one of the other things, just say for that, if you if one of the ways just to try and get the vocal folds to meet, it's quite hard to do over Zoom because it's quite quiet, but is this. And you probably can't hear it, but if you imagine you're just making those little phonation sounds, and it's almost the tiniest you can make. The vocal cords are coming together and meeting, and then they're just coming apart for that one moment. You can do that silently as well, but even quieter. Just try that a little bit, and then and just see if you can get that steadiness in the voice. That might really help solve that. But I recommend, often these things are physical rather than just out of practice as well. And so, yeah, I commend that much to you.
Thank you.
Any other question? I have one final thought, actually, just to add in. Michael very sensibly asked me to say things about, because we're doing a lot more sitting on Zoom and sitting singing going on. I think you'll have seen today, the reason I gave you lots of those diagrams was to give you that real awareness of actually the upper torso and the body has to be ready to sing and in alignment. We don't have to be standing for it, but we do just have to be at least from this part of the body upwards, prepared for it to go. You think about a diaphragm muscle that's contracting at the base of the spine into the pelvis. If we're kind of slumped over, the poor muscle's got to kind of work harder on one side and so on. It makes it quite difficult. But the other thing I'll just very, very quickly share is just heading right back through the slides is this one. And that is to say that here you can see the rhomboid major muscles and the latimus muscles, and how the latimus muscles come round the rib cage, and how the rhomboids attach to the shoulder blades. So the muscle and essentially then affect the breathing in the ribs. So my little exercise for sitting is to take your palms out here and just to send them outwards as if you are doing some sort of Jesus exaltation. Keep the palms will want to roll forwards. Really try and keep them heading backwards, and breathe in. And you'll find, as long as you've really got that right angle here, and you're really trying to turn the hand away from the front, you'll find that will force the shoulder blades into a really good position that allows the rib cage to open, and it will really expand things for you and really help with that breath. So if you're finding halfway through a quiet practice you're getting quite stiff, or so, just arms out, just let that go. It will just expand everything for you. Good. Good. I think Michael has left us now, so I will end the recording on that note. But thank you all very, very much indeed for coming and doing it. It's a real pleasure to present to people, and a pleasure to a pleasure to be able to offer all of this to people. Incidentally, if anyone, you're welcome to email, because I haven't said it, that a lot of the illustrations came from this book, The Anatomy of the Voice, which I got the other day. I'm more than happy to send around the link to you at some point if you are interested. It is very detailed, but it's also in plain English. It's the only medical book I think I've ever understood. If you are interested, have a look. The only thing I'd say, don't academicize anything. Think of our African warm-up at the start. You all sang beautifully, you all enjoyed yourself, and you were all moving around, and all those muscles were working, and we didn't even have to think about it. That's where singing should be, so let's keep it simple. Good. Thank you all very much, and have a lovely afternoon.